Hello bookish people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Meghan. In today's video we're going to be doing a book haul. These are all the books I bought the past 2 to 3 months generally. I mean, I put my books away as soon as I buy them, so I was looking at my shelves, I was like, wait, what did I buy the past 2 to 3 months? So honestly I could have ones that are maybe 4 months old in here sprinkled in, but generally 2 to 3 months is the timeline for these books. I have a lot of books for that amount of time, but you know what, I buy books a lot. I was gonna say, no, I thrift for a living. I'm an eBay seller, so I get a lot of my inventory at the thrift store. I thrift Monday through Friday, 5 times a week. Once I'm done going through like the clothes, which is what I sell, I go to the book section. I see what's out there. And that's why I end up thrifting so many books, and they're honestly so cheap. And another place I get books is a place called Ollie's, which is a discount store, and they have a book section, and it's like basically just a bunch of like book liquidation, and you can get like titles that like, well, you'll see the books I get from Ollie's, and you'll see how cheap they are. And then I also go to like Barnes & Noble and Target, but I really only try to books at Barnes & Noble and Target when there's some sort of sale, so like the buy one get one 50% off table from Barnes & Noble, or when Target's running a book sale like buy 2 get 1 free or buy 1 get 1 50% off. So like I have a lot of books, but like I'm always getting them on a discount, you know what I mean? So let's get into it. First of all though, I want to show you my nails because I'm utterly obsessed with them. I got these done 2 days ago. These are the coolest nails I'll ever have in my entire life. Like, this girl is literally an artist. Don't know how she did it. I was watching her do it, but don't know how she did it. And they're just gorgeous and amazing. And now I need to have a Scream movie marathon. So let's get into this. I have a couple piles. We have romance section, we have mystery thriller, we have YA, which is generally YA fantasy, but there's a few just general YA in there. We have graphic novels / manga, and then we have just like random adult pile where I had basically one of a few genres, so we just put them together in a pile. So let's start with romance because it's just the most fun. That is A When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I have never read a Sarah Adams book before. I know she's the author of The Cheat Sheet, which went like viral on TikTok. This one just sounds so cute. It says, opposites certainly attract for a stranded pop star and a small town baker in this charming slice of life romance from Sarah Adams. Slice of life, a romance in a small town. We have a famous girl, we have a small town baker, and it's like kind of like enemies to lovers, but not really enemies to lovers. Opposites attract. Okay, I love that shit. I love also too like kind of like the big, like this reminds me of a less dramatic version of Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, which I absolutely loved. It's kind of like about, she's like this big successful doctor and he's just like this small town guy, and I just love that premise. Like super successful pop star, she's like rich city girl meets small town guy, and he's a baker. That just sounds too cute. Obviously I had to get it. Honestly, I'm more willing to buy romance books. Like most of my romance books, which is the pile we're starting with, are purchased from Barnes & Noble or Target. Not too many of them are thrifted, and that's simply because when I go thrifting, and again, I thrift 5 times a week, okay? So I see all the books there is to see out here being donated. Nobody donates cute romance books. It just doesn't happen. I think that's why I'm such a big mystery thriller reader, because I feel like most of the books that I thrift are mystery thrillers, you know what I mean? Or just like general fiction or historical fiction, even though I don't even read historical fiction. But like that's like what I see at the thrift store. I never find cute romances, so that's why I generally buy them from Barnes & Noble or Target. Next romance book, we have Dream On by Angie Hockman. So this book, just the premise sounded too cute. I had to buy it. So this book, you're following our main character. I don't know her name, and we have our main male character, don't know his name either, but basically I think she goes into like a coma or something, and she envisions this guy, and she wakes up and she's telling people about him, and they're like, no, like that's not real, like you just woke up from a coma, like that was a dream or something. And then she owns a flower shop, and then the guy that she dreamt about while she was in a coma walks in the flower shop, and she's like, holy shit, you're real. So that sounds cute, that sounds amazing, I love it. And yeah, I'm very excited to read this book. Oh my god, and the cover is just adorable too. I hope the part where she's in a coma is right. Yeah, Cass Walker wakes up after surviving a car accident, and she's okay, so maybe she was in a coma, she was in a car accident, I don't know, but it sounds like a really cute premise. So there we have that. The next book I have is One Day in December by Josie Silver. This one I actually thrifted. I know. I actually didn't really I've seen this book many times at Barnes & Noble. I never really had interest in it, but then when you find it for $1 and you just buy it, okay? So I found this, it was $1, and I don't know what it's about, but it's a Christmas romance. I love Christmas romances. I feel like that has to be one of my favorite category of romances is holiday romance, because I just love Christmas and I just love romance, and you put them together and it's like a Hallmark movie but spicier, and you're reading it, it's just better. Okay, it's just better. So I thrifted this. I have no idea what it's about, but I will be reading it this year, so there we go. The next two, oh my god, we're getting into my Christmas pile. Okay, maybe I should, these are all Christmas books coming up. I was gonna say, I guess when I made this pile of romance books, I just put all the Christmas ones near the top. So here's just more Christmas romance. These next two I'll do together because they're by the same author. We have A Princess for Christmas and So This Is Christmas, both by Jenny Holiday, which, what a perfect name to be selling Christmas books. This one I thrifted for $1. This one I bought at Barnes & Noble. So we have this one. This one, I'll read you the back. It says, a holiday fairy tale about a tough New Yorker from the other side of the tracks who falls for a princess from the other side of the world. That sounds adorable. I remember seeing this in Barnes & Noble. It was a contender of should I put it in my cart and buy it. I didn't end up doing it, but I remember I was intrigued and I wanted it. Found it in the thrift store for $1. Here, take my money. Thank you. Next, I got this one. This one I actually picked up at Barnes & Noble. This one I believe was her 2020 release. This one is her 2022 release. And this one is about an unforgettable romance about a confident American woman who, and the straight-laced royal advisor who falls hopelessly in love with her. He is instantly disturbed by her brash American manner as well as by an inconvenient attraction to the brainy beauty. Does that not sound like the cutest book ever? Oh my god, I just love that. I love just kind of not like enemies, like obviously like, they don't hate each other, but I just love that like tension. I'm not a fan of friends to lovers. I just love that kind of like butting heads, opposites attract tension in romance books. This sounds like a really great time. So we have that one. Oh, and then we have this one. This one sounds so cute. We have All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. This one has such a cute premise. So in this book, you're following our two main characters, and they audition for this singing reality show, and they're contestants on it. And during duet week, they are paired up together, so they have to sing a duet together, and they have tons of romantic chemistry on stage. And all the fans of the TV show fall in love with them, and they start shipping them as a couple. They have a couple name. And the network's like, okay, we love this. You guys actually like have to keep doing this. So they enter into a fake relationship, and obviously we know they fall in love, and it just sounds so cute. It sounds like such a good time. And they also don't get along and don't like each other. So it's like enemies to lovers, but I mean, it's like a contemporary romance. Like okay, enemies to lovers. You have like fantasy romance, enemies to lovers, where it's literally life and death situation. Like we hate each other. And then you have like contemporary enemies to lovers, where it's like, you said this thing about me that I misunderstood, but then you explain it in the end, and that's okay. We're all good. I'm in love with you now. You know what I mean? That's always what it is. It's like they overhear something and it's just like turns out to be a total misunderstanding. But you know what? I love both of them, and I'm okay with the contemporary enemies to lovers. They don't actually need to hate each other. Yes, I'm very excited about this book. It sounds like a really cute time. So we have this one, and I know the ugly stickers. I need to get my hair dryer, my Scotty peeler, and get all these stickers off because ew, they're ruining the cover. And the last Christmas romance, then we'll get into my regular romances, is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This book sounds too fucking cute. Like, let me tell you. Okay, all romance books sound cute, but like these Christmas romance books, they just sound extra fucking cute. So we have this one. It says a steamy plus-size holiday rom-com about an adult film star who is semi-accidentally cast as the lead in a family-friendly Christmas movie and the former bad boy pop star she falls in love with. So basically, we have a plus-size porn star who is accidentally cast in a Hallmark movie, and her leading man is a bad boy pop star, reformed bad boy pop star. Like, say less, take all my money. I'm fucking obsessed with it. I don't even care that this was hardcover and I had to pay hardcover prices versus a regular paperback romance because it's just too fucking cute. And then you have the white and the pink, and like even those, like the hardcover part is pink and white. Like, stop. I'm fucking obsessed. I'm so excited to read this book. Actually, I just got the hold for this on Libby, so I will be listening to this very soon. And now we're going to get into the regular romances. So first we have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Why do I own this book? I have no idea. Why did I spend my money on this? I have no idea. I have never read a Colleen Hoover book in my entire life, which means I have never read It Ends With Us, which is the book one in this series. I own it, haven't read it, but for some reason I thought it was a good idea to buy this, even though Never read the first one, so not going to read that one anytime soon. Next, we have Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is Twisted Book 1. I don't know what this is about. I think it's a bodyguard romance. Am I correct? Honestly, I just know this book is so hyped up. Like, this whole Twisted series is so hyped up, but I have no idea what they're about. I bought it during Target buy one get one 50% off sales, so here we are. I will be getting into that series. The next book I picked up is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I remember reading the synopsis, thinking it was super cute. I wanted to read it. I bought it. Here we are. Filming the haul video. I can't tell you what it's about. I don't know. I just have no idea. But you know what? It sounded like a cute time when I bought it. I trust my instincts. And the last two romances we have are A Little Something Different and Signs Point to Yes, both by Sandy Hall. This one I kind of know what it's about. It's about these two people and everyone in their life is kind of conspiring to get them together because everybody thinks they'd be perfect together. And this one I have no clue what it's about, but I thrifted these two. They were $2 a piece, so $4 for two cute little pastel, aesthetically pleasing covers. Cute little romance books, and look at the little squirrel, look at the little 8-ball, it's just too cute. I've never heard of Sandy Hall, never heard of these books, but they sound like a good time. And then when I thrift cute romances, like when I find cute romances at the thrift store, I never say no, because it's so rare that I find cute romances at the thrift store, so I just buy them, even if I never heard of them. So there's those. Now let's get into we'll just do graphic novels and graphic novels and manga, because it's a very small pile. First, manga. We have Volumes 1 through 6 of Spy Family. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. This is the first manga series I've ever read, and I am really enjoying it. To be honest, as of right now, I've only read the first 2, but I own 6 of them. So I plan on reading the rest of these very, very soon. But I feel like I'm just always working, so I'm always listening to audiobooks. Like, for me to really sit down and physically read something, it's gotten out of my daily routine and habit, so I need to bring that habit back of physically reading so that I could, like, get into this again. But yeah, that's kind of like my thing. I feel like I need to have the habit and, like, schedule it into my thing, because, like, as of now, I'm just not really physically reading. I'm kind of primarily doing audiobooks at the moment. Next, we have Lore Olympus Volume 2. I read Volume 1, really liked it. Here's Volume 2. I know Volume 3 just came out. I'm going to see how I feel about Volume 2, though, before I buy Volume 3, because it's like, I don't know, like, it's like a good time, but I feel like I never really connect to graphic novels, and not in the same way that I've connected to Spy Family. And also, too, there's a huge price difference, like, between these, right? Like, this book is like, I don't even know how much this is. It says $27.99. I don't think I really spent that on it, but when they come out, they're like, what? They're kind of expensive. And it's like, and if they're going to be coming out with so many of these Lore Olympuses, like, the second and third one came out a couple months apart. I'm sure the fourth one's coming out. Like, do I need to constantly be spending my money on this? You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. I like it. But we're going to see how I feel about this before I buy Volume 3. Okay, now let's get into my YA pile. So, yeah, this one I feel like is primarily thrifted. We have This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This one I thrifted. I don't really know what this is about, but it is a duology, The Monsters of Verity duology. I have only read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, and it is probably one of my all-time favorite books. Like, my whole personality is this book, right? Like, I'm fucking obsessed with it. I watch fan edits almost every day on YouTube of, like, Addie and Luke. Fucking love it. So, when I found this book by her at the thrift store for $2, I was obviously gonna buy it. The next book I picked up is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. This book does, oh yeah, look at that, 50 cents. I was like, I want to make sure I'm right in saying that, 50 cents. Okay, so I really had no plans on reading this series. I know it's a really well-loved, really popular, like, YA sci-fi series. Again, I just never really was planning on reading it. But then I found the first one for 50 cents, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's do it. The next book is one I'm actually currently reading right now. I'm currently listening to the audiobook, and that is The Coldest Touch by Isabel Sterling, and it says on the back, Fairy Loot exclusive. I didn't know Fairy Loot did paperbacks. Again, as you can tell, I always like a deal, right? I always like a deal on my books. So I am not a Fairy Loot subscriber. I'm not an Illumicrate subscriber, because that just doesn't fit in with how I like deals on my books, and you know, so I don't partake in that. But this, and first of all, like, can we just, like, notice how my nails go perfectly with this cover? Like, I'm fucking obsessed. We're following our two main characters, Elise and Claire. I'm currently reading this book right now. I paused the audiobook right before I filmed this video, so I should know their names, but like I just don't retain names. So we have this. When we're following Elise and Claire, Claire is a vampire and Elise is a death oracle, but she kind of finds that out, you know, in the beginning of the book. Basically, in the beginning of the book, Elise, she just knows when she touches people that she can see their death and feel their death. So she really doesn't try to, like, you know, be around anyone. And that's where Claire comes into the picture, because she is working for the Veil, which is this like paranormal, like, government society thing, and they obviously know that Elise is a death oracle, so they send Claire to be her shepherd, that's what they call her, to basically come and bring her into the paranormal world. That's what it's about. It's called The Coldest Touch, and I'm actually really enjoying it so far. For something that I haven't heard of, and I feel like nobody like hypes this book up, it's like, it's really good. So we have that. The next book I got, this one I got at Goodwill. This is Sadie by Courtney Summers. This book I feel like is such a popular YA book. I listened to the audiobook for this. I love this. Oh my god. I actually got this one in October, so this one I know is a very recent one. And I just love this book so much. I think the ending was perfectly done. This I'll really talk about more in detail in my October wrap up. But yeah, I got this book for $4. It's a hardcover edition, and I had such an amazing time listening to the audiobook. I highly recommend. The next book I got is The Project by Courtney Summers. Same author as Sadie. This one I got after I read Sadie, so I read this and knew I loved it, and then I found this one at Ollie's, and look at the price on that, $2.99. Hardcover, you can't beat it. So I really don't know what this one is about. I think this has to do with a cult, like somebody's family member who died and then she investigates this cult. I could be wrong, but I kind of think that's what it's about. But yeah, this is another one I'm very excited to read. I haven't read it yet. It is on my plans. So yeah, here's that. The next book I picked up is The Map Makers by Tamsin Merchant. This is an ARC. This is an advanced reader's copy, but I found it at the thrift store and it came out May 2022. So this book is actually a sequel. The first book is called The Hat Makers, and it is basically just a middle grade fantasy book, which middle grade fantasy is always a fun time, and this was just too cute. I had to pick it up. I thrifted it for like $2 or $1. I don't even remember. I think it was around $2. I'm trying to think which store I thrifted at, because in all the thrift stores I go to, paperbacks range from 50 cents to $2 depending on the thrift store I go to. But yeah, I mean, so cute. So now I want to listen to The Hat Makers on audio, because my library has the audio for the first book, so then I can read this book. The next book I picked up was Twilight, the graphic novel, volume 1. Did you even know Twilight had a graphic novel? Because I didn't. And then I found it at the thrift store, and I'm fucking obsessed. I cannot believe I found this. I cannot believe I didn't even know this existed. This made middle school me scream on the inside, and also high school me, and also college me, and also current me scream on the inside. I'm obsessed with Twilight. Well, first of all, it's a great time to talk about this. I purchased this from Bath & Body Works because once I actually have more shelves than just my two, and I have a nice little Twilight section, this is going in front of it. Vampire Blood Candle from Bath & Body Works. But yeah, I didn't know this existed. I'm fucking obsessed with it. I have to read it because, like, just look at it. I am so happy. This is volume 1, which means there's multiple volumes. So I guess now I have to collect them all. Next, for our YA pile, we only have 2 books left. We have Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bully, and I don't know what this book is about. It was a popular YA fantasy book. I believe it's a standalone YA fantasy, which we love because I feel like so many fantasy books, and especially YA fantasy books, well, not especially, but all fantasy as a general genre, is all like sequels, long series, trilogies, duologies. Here we are. Here we have a nice, simple little standalone. Again, I don't really know what it's about. It has a really pretty cover. I saw a lot of people talk about it. And kind of my rule in the thrift store, because I come across so many books I would like to potentially read, right? Because I thrift, again, 5 times a week. So my rule for myself is I cannot buy the book unless I've heard of it. Unless it's on my Goodreads TBR. I can't buy it, or else my, like, TBR would be, like, ginormous. You know what I mean? I have to have some discipline. So I bought that one. Very excited to read it. And then the last book for the YA pile is Little Thieves. I believe the first name of the author is Margaret Owens, because I don't have the dust jacket, because when you're thrifting, you can't pick and choose if it's going to have a dust jacket or not. Sometimes you get a book without a dust jacket. Generally, I don't like to buy books without the dust jacket, even at the thrift store, but something like this, Little Thieves, I never come across this book. I don't really come across, like, current YA fantasy books very often, so I knew that I had to get it. This one came out when? 2021. Yeah, there was no way I was going to come across this again with a dust jacket, so I settled without one, and I'm very excited to read this. It's about the content that matters anyway, so there we go. I'm very excited. I think that's like a, what is it called? The Golden Goose or something? The goose that lays the golden egg? Or Goose Girl? I don't even know. It's like one of those goose retellings. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a goose retelling. Now, we're going to get into my mystery thriller pile, starting with Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. This book, it just says, what's a little demonic possession among friends? Honestly, this reminds me a lot of Grady Hendrix. This seems to be like a horror novel, but like a dark comedic horror. So this kind of gives me the vibes of the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, which I read this month, absolutely loved. And this kind of gave me similar vibes to that, so I bought it. The next book I picked up is Verity by Colleen Hoover. So I bought this buy one get one 50% off when I bought It Starts With Us. This is the other book I got on that sale, and everyone just says, what the fuck, when they read this book. I need to be in on it. Team manuscript, team letter. I don't even know what that means, but I've heard it all the time on booktube. Which one am I? I don't know. I need to read the book to figure it out. So the next two books I actually got at the same thrift store. This is like one of my most recent thrift trips. I got these last week. So yeah, we have these books. First, we have The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. She just came out with a brand new book. It has that really pretty light pink cover with the house on it. Wanted to read it, but honestly, I haven't heard the best reviews on it. But I found this one at the thrift store, and I recognized the author, so I wanted to pick it up because, well, I wanted to read her new release, never did. So, you know, let's just read her older release. This one I think came out in 2020 or 2021. I'm not really sure what it's about. Oh, actually, I do know what it's about. I remember now. It's about this wife who, okay, so there's, what are their names? Martine. Oh, Evelyn. There's Evelyn, and she basically cloned herself, and she has a clone named Martine, and then her husband is found murdered, and her clone have to, like, cover it up. Something like that. Sounds interesting. It's like an 8-hour audiobook. I'll just finish that in, like, a day. Next, we have this book. I'm so excited to find this in the thrift store, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is a book that has been on my radar for such a long time, and I have been dying to read it, especially this fall. I've really wanted to read this book, and I have almost purchased this at Barnes & Noble multiple times. One time I was in a fuck it, I'm gonna spend money mood. I went to Barnes & Noble's, sold out, didn't have it. I was like, of course. And then then I did have it later, and it was buy one get one 50% off, but my fuck it, let's just spend money on this book mood had passed, so I didn't buy it. And I was just like, I know I'm gonna find this at the thrift store, because The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, I see at multiple thrift stores multiple times a week. Like, that book is super popular. I always find it at the thrift store. So I was like, I know one day I'm gonna find her other book at the thrift store that I've been dying to read, which is this book. And I finally did, and I almost screamed in the book aisle. I was like, holy shit, here it is. This is a dark academia murder mystery. Very excited to read it. I don't know even what it's about. I've been so looking forward to reading this book, and I cannot tell you what it is about, but you know what? We're gonna go in blind. We're gonna have a good dark academia time, and I'm just very excited about that book. Next book I picked up is Good Me, Bad Me by Allie Land. This one I thrifted at Goodwill, so it was $2. This I read this month. I thrifted it in September, read it in October. This is probably one of the most fucked up books I've ever read in my entire life. It is probably one of the darkest books I have ever read in my entire life. But I loved it. It was a great time. It was actually a very depressing time, and a super fucked up time, but I enjoyed it, and I really recommend this book. This came out in 2017. Nobody really talks about this book anymore, but like, why? We can talk about it. It's good. Go read it. But it's very dark, I will warn you. Next book I picked up is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. If you want to read this book, go to any thrift store. Literally does not matter which one, just go to a thrift store, because I think I see this one every single time I'm at the thrift store. I finally bought it because I want to read it. So this one I got a hardcover edition. I think I paid $4 for this one. Anyway, so we have this one, Gone Girl. Again, if you want to read it, any thrift store, they will have it, I promise you. I have no idea what it's about. I never saw the movie. I always wanted to read the book before watching the movie. How many years has passed and I haven't done either, so now we're finally going to read the book, eventually, at some point, because I own it now. Next, we have The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. This one, I believe, won the Goodreads, the Goodreads Choice Award for Mystery Thriller in 2021. So basically I think it's about this dad, his wife, and their daughter, but it's like not her daughter, so it's like stepdaughter, stepmom situation, and he disappears and says like take care of her, and so she takes the daughter and run, and she's trying to figure out what's happening, and I think that's what this book is about generally. And you know, I'm just very excited to listen to the audiobook for it again. This book was on my radar. I kind of wanted to read it, but it wasn't one of those books I was going to read unless I found it at the thrift store. I did, so here we go, and now I have to read it. Okay, this book I thrifted literally yesterday, like not even 24 hours ago, and I about fucking died when I found this book at the thrift store because I love this book so much. I read this book earlier this year, gave it 5 stars, utterly obsessed with it, have been dying to reread it. It's definitely like on a reread list, and it's also coming out with an adaptation starring Florence Pugh. I hope I pronounced her name right, and I cannot believe I found this in the thrift store. The Maid by Nita Prose. Holy shit, you guys. I love Molly the Maid so fucking much. The audiobook was 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely stellar. I honestly recommend the audiobook for this. I know I have a physical edition of it in my hand. Recommend the audio. Because Molly is neurodivergent, I think the audiobook really kind of just makes the story come to life more. But I've really been wanting to own a physical edition of it because it's probably one of my favorite books I've read this year. But I'm not going to Barnes & Noble and spending $27. Found this at a thrift store yesterday, and how much was it? It was $2, that's right. Because I remember her saying the hardcovers were $2. $2 fucking dollars for my favorite book in the world. Okay, that's a little excessive. It's not my favorite book in the world. Like, my Addie LaRue like little shelf over there is staring at me, and it's like, bitch, what did you just say? No, I'm sorry. Like, it's not my favorite book in the world, but like, it's one of my favorite books of this year. Next book, we have The Girl from Widow Hills by Meghan Miranda. This one I got at the same thrift store as yesterday, but a different occasion. So this one was also $2. I don't know what it's about. I think it's about somebody who disappeared, a disappearance in a town. I don't know. It seems like a domestic thriller. Is that, I'm kind of thinking that's what it's about. I think it's a domestic thriller. I've never read anything by Meghan Miranda. I do own All the Girls, what is it called? Let me find this book. What is it called? All the Girls, the problem with my shelves. All the Missing Girls, that's the book I own. All the Missing Girls by her, haven't read it yet. Now I own 2 books by her, but yeah, I really want to listen to this book, but my library doesn't have the audiobook. That's another thing. If I find a mystery thriller I like, usually I look it up on my Libby app, and if they don't have the audiobook, I generally don't buy it. I just assumed that they would have the audiobook. I didn't even look it up. They don't, so it's probably going to take me a year to read this book, let's be honest. The next 2 books I thrifted and are mystery thriller category, and then we're going into my general fiction books. These 2 books are by the same author. I bought them like the same week, but different occasions, different stories, but the same week. And that is I'm blind. That is The Island in the Chain by Adrienne McKinty. So these books I thrifted. This one you could see I bought it for $5. This one I bought, I think this one was written on the inside. This one I bought for $2. So the first we have The Chain. I haven't read this one yet. I did check out the audiobook on Libby, so I'm hoping to read it this week. And this one is basically about like this chain, this cycle where these parents get a call saying like your kid's been kidnapped. In order to get your child back, like give us this amount of money, and also you have to kidnap this other child. So then they kidnap this other child and then call their parents, and you know, it's like a chain reaction, right? It's a chain of people constantly kidnapping their children and money being sent to this organization. That's what it's about. Sounds really interesting. And then we have The Island, also by Adrienne McKinty, which is his 2022 release, as a soon to be a Hulu original. I looked it up. I read this book, fucking obsessed with it, 5 stars. You'll hear more about it in my October wrap up. Obsessed with it. So I looked up the part where it says a Hulu original. I couldn't find anything on it. So what does that mean? I don't know. But I read this. I loved it. I loved this book so much. The audiobook for this was absolutely stunning. Like when they say gunshots in the book, like you hear gunshots in the audiobook. Like it was an amazing audiobook. I highly recommend it. It really did feel like listening to a movie. So in this book, you're following this family who goes on a trip to Australia. The dad is doing business there, so they're on a business trip, and then there's an island off the coast of where they're staying, and the kids really want to see animals, and then one of the people in Australia is like, oh, go to that island, but be warned, you're not really supposed to be there. they go anyway. So they go there and something tragic happens, and then they're basically being hunted by the locals. I highly recommend. It is a very fun time. Next, we have my pile, which only has about 5 books on it. These are just books that I only really, there's no specific genre. So first we have fantasy. This one is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I thrifted this book. It was $1. The person who originally bought it got it buy one get one 50% off at Barnes & Noble. This book has been on my radar. It is an adult fantasy book that I have actually been interested in reading. And then I found out the thrift store. I know the sequel to this is actually coming out this month in November. Well, actually not this month, next month, because it's October. It's coming out in November. So yeah, maybe I'll read this soon so I can read the sequel. Next, we have Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And this book is basically a collection of short stories following this cafe where you can time travel. And the rules of time travel are you have to sit in a specific seat in the cafe. The server will serve you coffee, but you have to come back before the coffee gets cold. And in order to come back, you basically have to finish drinking the coffee. Also, while you're time traveling, you're not allowed to move from that seat. And you can only time travel back to that cafe. So like if you have never been to that cafe before, or like the person you're trying to contact has never been to that cafe anymore, like you can't time travel back to see that person. You know what I mean? Like you both have already had to have been there. So anyway, so we have this book, and I've read 2 of the short stories so far, so I'm like 50% through. I've read The Lovers and The Married Couple. I think, let me see. I've read The Lovers and The Husband and Wife. Then we have The Sisters, Mother and Child. So I read the first 2. I'm not overly impressed. I was very hyped up about this book. The first 2 short stories, it's just met to me. But I will finish reading this book soon. And yeah, so I recently bought that and it's just okay. The next book I got is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. So this book I got at Ollie's. It was $4.99. I was really happy to see this at Ollie's because I've been actually wanting to read this book. I found it at the thrift store twice before. One time I was missing the dust jacket, and the second time it was a large print edition. So I found it at Ollie's. I'm very excited about that. I feel like this is just going to be a dark, more somber read. So I feel like I want to be in like that type of headspace to read it, you know, like, or be in like that type of mood where I want to read something kind of sad. So basically in this book, you're following our main character, and when she was a teenager, she entered into a relationship with an older man. And I believe she was fine with it at the time. Like she thought everything was fine. And then as she grows older, and she's like, you know, an adult, she looks back on that relationship and realizes the manipulation, the power dynamics, and the grooming that took place, and kind of coming to terms with how that actually wasn't okay. And I'm very interested to just read this book and kind of see her perspective on that. The next book I picked up is A Beautiful Day by Elin Hilderbrand. So in this book, I was gonna say you're following, but I don't know why I was even going into that because I have zero clue what this book is about. Elin Hilderbrand, I read The Hotel Nantucket, which was her 2022 release. I absolutely loved it, gave 5 stars to it. So now she's just become an auto-buy author for me at the thrift store because I come across so many of her books at the thrift store. She is an auto-buy with the asterisks at the thrift store. I think I own probably like 7 books by her now. I read 1, 7, so hopefully I love all her books just as much as The Hotel Nantucket. So I got this at the thrift store, and I think I paid about $2 for this. And the person who bought it before me got it for a bargain price of $6.98. So there we go. There's that one. And then the last book, which is like the winner of this video. I cannot believe I thrifted this. I almost fucking cried when I thrifted this. And that is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my all-time favorite book. I'm looking at Addie LaRue as I'm saying it. They're equal to me. Like I cannot pick one. So when I say my favorite book, I'm using that interchangeably with Addie LaRue because like they're both so special to me. So I love this book so much. I've listened to the audiobook 3 times. I've read the physical edition of it once when I like highlighted and tabbed it, and that was a paperback edition. And then I thrifted this hardcover edition, and I didn't even think to look for a hardcover edition of the book. Like I just assumed it came out in paperback only because I mean it's not romance, but it is kind of like a romance book, and usually romance books only come out in paperbacks. And I feel like whenever I see people talk about this book, they're always holding up the paperback. I didn't know there was a hardcover edition. Then I found it at the thrift store and I almost fucking cried because I was like, holy shit, this is my favorite book in the whole world, and now I have a hardcover edition that I bought at a thrift store for $2. Like it has everything that I love. It's everything I love. A deal, a bargain, thrifted, my favorite book in the world, hardcover edition. So I don't even have to go into the synopsis for this book. I feel like everybody knows what it's about, and it's turning into an Amazon Prime TV show. When is it coming out? We don't know because they finished filming in summertime and it's October, end of October now. We still don't have a release date. Like, Amazon hasn't said shit about it, but like, we know they wrapped up filming, and everyone's like, ooh, they wrapped up filming in summer. Maybe we're hoping for a fall release. We're past it. Like, we're kind of passing fall. We're coming into November. I need to know when this is coming out. Like, I don't even need it to be like tomorrow, you know what I mean? I just need Amazon to give me a date. I literally Google Daisy Jones and the Six, Amazon Prime, I think at least once a week, just to see if there's any updated articles on the release date. I'm always checking the Daisy Jones and the Six TV show Instagram. Like, is there any posts? Is there any updates on like when this is coming out? Because like, I need to know. I need to fucking know. So there we go. There's this book. That was the last book in our haul. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I have tons of great books that I need to read now. So I need to go on a book buy event. Oh, I also had this Sex Mix. I got this at Goodwill too. Look at this Harry Potter puzzle I bought. $3.99. Look at this. It's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. And I know all the puzzle pieces are there because the box has been opened, but the puzzle bag is sealed, unopened. So we know all the pieces are there. I'm very excited. I'm gonna put on my Harry Potter ambiance music, put on an audiobook, and just go to town on that puzzle. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is my book haul. I've got lots of great selections. I cannot wait to start reading them, although I've already read some of them, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. That was weird. What was I doing with my hand? I was gonna do a peace sign, and then I like faked out last minute and I didn't do a peace sign. I was gonna like wave. I don't know. This is not my dominant hand. That is it. Have a good day. Bye.